Welcome back to LarryB YouTube channel. In today's class, I'm going to teach you a simpler way of making this beautiful spiral sleeve. The tutorial on how I made the dress is also uploaded on the channel. If this is something you like to learn, kindly stay tuned to the end of this tutorial. Thank you. So to do this, I have done something like this already on the channel, but I'm going to use a simpler method for this. I'm just going to try out this new method. It's going to consume less fabric and I feel it should be easier. So instead of cutting it on flounce, we are going to be cutting it in a straight form. But the first thing you need is your base, which is going to be your sleeve, where you are going to be attaching the spiral effect that you have. So you can see that this is just like a short off shoulder sleeve that I have here, and then I also have the lining so that it's going to be neat. Okay, you're going to cut your main sleeve and you're going to cut your lining. So that's the first step you need to do. So after doing that, now I'm going to spread this sleeve and then I'm going to mark on it so that I can have the idea of the amount of fabric that I will need. So the spiral is not going to be extending to the armhole area. It's just going to be on this part. That's going to, remember, this part is going to be under, so it's just going to be on this side. And to do that, for me to sew this to my bodies, I need allowance. So I'm going to leave like half an inch on that point and then half an inch on this point as well for that. Okay, so these are the allowance that I'm going to be using so that I can get a straight line. I'm going to put it back on fold here and then I'm going to measure what I have there. Okay, so this is around 6.5 inches, so I'm going to measure the same 6.5 on the lower part so that it can give me a perfect straight line, and then I'm going to connect. So the same thing you are doing on this side, you are going to turn to the other side as well. And you can see that my sleeve is I fused interfacing, I fused stay on the sleeve to strengthen it because you are going to be sewing on it a lot. So you can just fuse interfacing on it just like I did. So I'm doing the same thing here. I'm marking the same 6.5 inches and then I'm going to connect it to form a straight line. So when you open it up like this, you will know that your flange is just going to be between these lines that you have. So the next thing is to decide how the gap that you want between the flange. But for me, I'm just going to mark 1 inch all around, so you can see I'm marking 1 inch for my gap and then I'm going to make that into a straight line. So I make my marks now. You can see this is the gap. If this gap is too much for you, you can use half an inch or 0.75. If it is too big, if it is too small, you can increase it as well, but the smaller it is, the more fabric you are going to need. So now I have 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12 13 14 14. That's what I have. So to know the amount of fabric you will cut for your flange, you can just take your tape now and then just measure all around it the way it's going to be on your flange like this. Okay, you just measure around it, so you can put it on fold and then measure so that you can multiply that into 2, and that's going to give you like an idea of what you will need. So you just add few inches to that. So now I'm using this crinoline for mine, and the size of this crinoline that I'm working with is just 2 inches. Okay, so because the size of my crinoline is 2 inches, I'm going to add 1 inch to that. Okay, so I'm going to cut a fabric of 3 inches, but when I'm cutting my fabric, I don't want to have seam on the part that is going to be outside, so I'm going to be cutting it on fold. So I'll have 6 inches altogether including seam allowance. I'm using 6 inches for everything. So now I've gone ahead to cut out my fabric. So this is my fabric. You will see that I have 3 inches on fold. So if you look at it, you can see I have exactly 3 inches on fold for this fabric, and then the length is going to be whatever it is that you measured here for your flounce. So mine is long. The length that I have here is about is around 90 inches thereabout. The length of my sleeve including seam allowance is 6 inches. So by the time I fold it in and here, I'm going to be left with around 5 inches. It's not a long sleeve, it's just like an hanging sleeve. We just created the armhole so that we can fix it easily. So this is what I have now. Like I said, I don't want it to have a seam here, so I just cut it out on fold. Okay, then after cutting it on fold, I ironed gum stay on it so that it can be strong. You know, it's a structured sleeve. I need it to be stable, so I ironed gum stay on it, and then I folded it into two so that I can see the crease line. So once you see the crease line, you know where it differs, and you will know where to add your crinoline. Okay, if you don't iron it, you will not know where the crinoline is supposed to stop. So to add my crinoline, you can either sew it, but for me, I don't want to sew it. I'm going to use my hemming gum to add it to it. So now you're going to bring in your iron, and then you're going to be using this hemming gum. This hemming gum is wider than what I need. So what I'm going to do now is just to divide it. So this is the width of the hemming gum. I'm going to be dividing it into four, which coincidentally falls exactly as the width of my crinoline, you can see. So I'm going to divide this into four, and I'm going to be attaching the crinoline with the help of this hemming gum. So basically what we are doing is, you are going to open it up, you are going to leave like half an inch to turn this side, and then you're going to lay your hemming gum on it like this. Then after laying your hemming gum, you're going to bring your crinoline and then take it to where it folds like this, you can see, and then you're going to use your hot iron to gum it down. So I'm going to go ahead and do this now. I'm going to gum everything down like this. So I've gone ahead to iron the um the crinoline, you can see on it. So for this rough edge, you can go ahead and serge it, but for mine, you can see I just folded in the allowance there. Okay, so that by the time I fold this, I'm going to top stitch on it. That's because I'm still going to sew on it when I'm turning, so there's no need for you to serge it. You can just fold just like me. Remember, I have enough allowance. I did not cut exactly 2 inches, which is my crinoline, so I just folded it in. So here I'm going to this other side, I'm going to sew it like this, and then I'm going to turn it so that the two edges are going to be neat as well. So once you sew the two edges neat, you're going to just top stitch on it. Since you have already used the iron to fold it, it's going to be easy for you. So once you top stitch on it, you're going to bring in your sleeve. That's the original sleeve that you are going to work with, and then you start sewing it. So please make sure this part is neat though, because it's going to show. It has to be neat. That's why we are not using lining, because it's going to be showing like this. So the two sides will be showing. It means you have to use the same fabric on the two sides, and you make sure that this part is also neat as well, because it's going to show. So now you're going to place it like this, and then you're going to keep turning. So when you are turning, when you get to this side, it may be a bit difficult to turn it, so you just take like a small pleat there. That way you can turn easily. So I'm going to do this now, then take it to the same machine and show you how I'm going to sew them together. So I have gone ahead to turn the edge. Okay, you can see the edge is neatly turned now, and then I also sew top stitch on this part, so you can see that everything is neatly concealed. You can see how neat it is. So now, remember we said we are going to be turning it with lining for this one. So before you start sewing this, you need to sew the upper part of the lining first, because you'll not be able to do it once you sew in your spiral. So you're going to place it like this, you're going to sew it, but you are sewing only the upper part. You are going to leave the rest. So once you sew it, you are going to open it out like this. Okay, you are going to open it out like this. Sewn is going to be sewn before you start sewing this spiral effect. So the spiral effect as well, I'm going to start sewing from the hem, and when you want to sew the hem, you leave allowance to turn it as well. So you're going to place it on maybe half an inch before you start sewing on it like this. I hope you understand that. So we'll go over to the sewing machine now to do all this. So now you can see I'm almost done. I'm going to go ahead and sew the last one. So make sure that your lining is still separate. Don't sew your lining together with it, and then you are going to completely sew it. So once you completely sew it, this is what you are going to have. Now this is what it's going to look like on the inside. You can see all the lines that you follow to sew on the inside. So now this lining that you have already sewn, remember you have sewn the up, that's why I said you should sew the upper part before you do this. You can see that you will not be able to do that again. So now this lining is what you are going to carry now to cover up all this roughness that you have there. You are going to use the lining to cover it up. So once you cover it like this, you are going to fold. Remember, we did not start sewing here, we left half an inch for turning. So you are going to fold the half an inch like this, and then you fold the half an inch on your lining as well like this, and then you are going to top stitch on it. So that is all you need to do. So I have gone ahead to top stitch it, and you can see this is what it looks like on the inside now. You can see how neat it is looking. So I did this for the other sleeve as well, the exact same way I did for. So I've gone ahead to top stitch it. You can see now this is what I have. So you can see how neat it is on the inside. You cannot even see the lines that we used to sew it. And I did the same thing for the second sleeve as well. So you cut it exact same way. So all you just need to do now is to bring in your dress. I already have my dress that I'm sewing this to, and then you're going to be sewing this armhole to the armhole of your dress like this. Okay, you can see the armhole of the dress, and you can see the armhole that you have created for the sleeve as well. So you're just going to go ahead and place them against each other like this, and then sew it on your armhole. Okay, you're going to sew it on your armhole and then sew it close. So I'm going to do that now, and then I'll bring it back for us to see what it looks like. But for now, this is what the sleeve looks like, and you can see how beautiful it is looking. So this is what the sleeve looks like. You can see how beautiful it is. You just need to attach the armhole to your dress, and this is what it looks like on my dress. The tutorial of the full dress is also uploaded on the channel. You can check that out as well. I hope you enjoyed making this beautiful tutorial with me. If you enjoyed this, let us know in the comment section. Like, comment, and subscribe to our channel, and I'll see you in the next one.